Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, April 7th. Ian Cameron, Matt Robinson with you, ready to break down the Tuesday NHL card. Another big loaded Tuesday slate, chock full of important games, playoff implications galore. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll also recap Monday's action. Alex B. Smith was a game-time decision for this show. It looked like initially he was going to be on, but Alex will join us after the recap as we get set to break down the first game for Tuesday. So he'll join us after the recap. Feeling good enough to take part today, so he'll be with us in a little bit as well. But first of all, we'll recap. And by the way, Matt Robinson's going to be not with us Thursday because he will be in Las Vegas for the Frozen Four. He will be taking in the Frozen Four tournament in person at the Fortress there, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. So we'll see if we get a Frozen Four pick or two from Matt before the end of the show. Later on. But getting to last night, not the greatest night, from a betting standpoint. Obviously, very entertaining games. A couple of those late games were tough beats. You think about the San Jose team total over that fell short, the full game over falling short. The over in the Nashville LA game fell short, which I was worried about a little bit once that got to 2-2, that both teams would clamp down a little bit and just look to get that game to overtime. So a couple frustrating results with the late games, I should say. But it was still an entertaining night of hockey overall. Tampa Bay Buffalo, man, you give me a series with these two teams, I'm not going to complain. I don't think many people would complain. It was another entertaining game last night between the Lightning and the Sabres. And the Buffalo Sabres. And I like Buffalo. This was one of the winners last night, Buffalo. I said, I like this spot for them. They were coming off those back-to-back losses against the Washington Capitals and the Ottawa Senators before that. I liked them back home against Tampa. That building was going to be electric, and it was. That's as loud as KeyBank Center's been. that game and, of course, the crazy 8-7 game earlier this last month between them, and the building was just going wild in Buffalo for that game, and it was last night again. Nice 4-2 win for the Buffalo Sabres. We cashed a lot of the early looks too. We thought both teams to score first period was worth a look. That was Alex's best bet on the show yesterday too. Was the first period both teams to score with the Lightning and the Sabres. So this was a good result overall for this game. Buffalo gets the 4-2 win. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was very solid in net for the Sabres. They got Tuck, Zucker, Quinn into the empty net, and Josh Norris scoring is a big deal for Buffalo because he's been in a bit of a funk, a little bit of a slump lately. If they can get Josh Norris going, before the playoffs, that's going to take Buffalo to another level and make them more dangerous. If they could get Josh Norris heating up just in time for the Stanley Cup playoffs, that would be big. Nice 4-2 win, though, there for the Sabres. We did get a lot of rough stuff, physical. Didn't get fights, but we got scrums after the whistle. A lot of animosity there between the two teams last night. So it was still, a very entertaining game overall. Like I said, sign me up. I'd love to see a playoff series with them. Winnipeg 6-2 against Seattle. That's about it for the Kraken. No playoffs for them. They weren't. We pretty much thought they were out already, but that definitely seals the deal that Seattle is out of it now. 6-2 win for the Winnipeg Jets. This game worked out all right. I know a lot of us, Alex and I, mentioned the Jets in some form, whether it was in regulation or team total over. Both of those cashed last night in that 6-2 victory. Seattle's on a crazy first period over streak right now. That hit last night, the Kraken Jets first period over, and I did have a piece of that. So pretty good, decent result here. Winnipeg 6-2, and Winnipeg still very much alive. Now, the problem for Winnipeg is what happened later in the night with Nashville and LA. One of those teams was going to get 2 points. So because of that, it's like one step forward, 2 steps back. Because someone was going to win that game, Winnipeg remains 3 points back of the second wildcard spot, which we now know is being held by the LA Kings thanks to their win over the Nashville Predators last night by a score of 3-2. Death taxes in the draw with the Predators and the Kings. That's now the 5th straight game to go past regulation between the Kings and the Predators. We were all over that. We all, pretty much everyone in the chat, Alex and I, we both liked that draw. So it was good to be able to cash with that. We fell short with the over, which was a little bit frustrating, but 3-2 win for LA, big 2 points for them. And DJ Smith making the call, and now he looks like a genius for me. Well, it's not really a genius. Everyone was calling for Anton Forsberg, to get the start with Darcy Kemper's recent struggles. And he played a really solid game, Anton Forsberg, for the LA Kings in net, and the Kings able to get a big 3-2 victory last night over the Nashville Predators, a Nashville team that will be back in action tonight as they take on the Anaheim Ducks in what will be another big game there. And then the San Jose Sharks beat the Chicago Blackhawks 3-2. Bit of a slow start. We cashed, actually, and I posted this on Twitter, a second period team total for San Jose over 1.5 at a really good plus price. So it was good to hit that. They did score 2 goals in the second period from Will Eklund and Kiefer Sherwood. Will Smith made it 3-1. Frank Nazar got a power play goal to cut it to 3-2, but the Sharks hang on and get a 3-2 victory. Chicago was coming on strong, but Nedeljkovic held the fort, and San Jose with a massive 2 points, 3-2. And how about a bargain bin special winner for Alex there in that game with Ryan Donato getting it done for Alex B. Smith with a bargain bin special winner last night. And San Jose just 2 points back of the LA Kings for that final wild card spot. And San Jose not only has a game in hand on Los Angeles, but they own the tiebreaker over Los Angeles too. So San Jose still very much alive, 2 points behind LA for that final wild card spot. Matt, your thoughts on what we saw on Monday?
Yeah, not too much to add. I didn't really tune into too much of the games going on. I watched a little of that Sharks game with a lot of the local guys, obviously still hoping for a Sharks playoff berth. They're managing to keep themselves kind of in the mix. It's interesting with how that's playing out, with LA getting another win outside of regulation, sitting in a playoff spot with, what are they up to? 17 regulation wins, 19 regulation wins. Just insanity. I saw a breakdown that had both conferences if we went to the 3-2-1 point, 3-2-1-0 point setup, which I'm a huge fan of. Reward teams for winning in regulation. It would hurt draw season. I posted and tagged the Ice Guys. It would hurt draw season. But from an actual standings perspective, I'm a big fan of it because I think I saw LA would be like 13th or 14th in the West if you drop to that scenario. So not too much to add. I don't know if Alex has anything to add. I know he had a great night last night, so I'll just be ready for the slate tonight.
Yeah, Alex with us. There he is. Like I said, he was a game time decision, but he's with us here on this Tuesday show. Alex, how are you? Things okay?
Good. Yeah, I had to come back down to planet Earth after therapy today, a little medication, but I'm doing all right, feeling well enough to do the show now. But no, last night, great night. Last night's one of those nights where I know me and Ian have kind of a different philosophy on how we handicap games. I've gotten more to where I've been more high volume in the last few years. But last night was kind of an old school night for me. I went low volume, picked a couple of spots in the 4 games I had, and it was a really nice night. Both teams to score cashing in that Buffalo game. Buffalo's ready for prime time. Buffalo is ready for the playoffs. This is a team that looks vastly different from even when this streak started back in December and January. This is a team that's playing complete hockey. They know how to be physical in the right times, not put themselves in danger, not put themselves in harm's way as far as taking dumb penalties. They know when to, just balance the pace of the game. And that game felt like a dress rehearsal for game 1, which is exactly what I said in that breakdown. I said, this is a dress rehearsal for everybody in that building, the fans, the team, and they've all delivered and brought it. And that was a big win for Buffalo. And so now, they got to be feeling good. They have to be feeling good about themselves because, like I said, you beat Tampa Bay, who either you win the division and you hopefully duck them until the second round, or things happen, you end up playing them in a couple of weeks to start off the series. But you've got some confidence built into you that, hey, we can play this kind of playoff style hockey and we can win with this kind of playoff style hockey. So I thought that was a big game for Buffalo. It was a fun game to watch. San Jose, beating the Hawks, needing that win to hang around, especially knowing what was going on at the same time. There was some scoreboard watching there with Nashville and Kings, and it made sense for Nashville Kings to go to a draw in this game because, all right, get your points and keep on moving in advances. So now for them to each get 82 points, of course, and then you get the extra point there for LA. LA now takes that second wild card spot, but you have to realize that it's not just about you at this point. You also have those teams behind you catching up. So, it felt like at some point in that third period, they kind of had a gentleman's agreement, like we're going to carry this thing in the OT. So that's nice. That's now 5 straight to go to overtime, 3 straight to go into a shootout. So if you took that 11-1 at Caesars or a couple other spots that have that, that should have been a really nice night for you. And then Donato cashing with the bargain bin. That was a fantastic goal. Frank Nazar really set that one up. He had a crazy shot that bounced off in the Delkovic, and Donato with a clean rebound to get that one in. So it was really fun to have. So good betting night for me all around. But some exciting hockey with just 4 games. Obviously tonight, bigger slate, so we're going to have some exciting games and a lot more games with playoff implications tonight as well.
No doubt. Like I said, it's a great time of year. It's like every night the hockey is so freaking intense and so important. Like, this is what's great about watching it. I'm captivated every night watching this stuff. Whether my bets win or lose, I'm just so locked in and excited with what I'm seeing right now. And that's the one thing about this point system with so many of these 3-point games. The one thing it's doing is it's keeping everybody alive, and it's given us this incredible, wild card chase down the stretch here in both conferences. That was a gentleman's agreement. Is exactly right, Jonathan. That was just let's make sure we both bank a point and go from there. That was what we saw at the end of that third period. And that's something you got to keep in mind, and that's why the draws are so tantalizing at this time of year, because the teams just say we can't screw up the point. Okay, it's so important to at least get this point secured, get it to OT. That's what Philly-Boston was on Sunday. I go back to that game. That's why these draws offer value still, at this late stage of the season. Just before we start on Tuesday's card, a reminder, Betcast night coming up Thursday. We're excited about it. Thursday, April the 9th. And what's funny is we got the Frozen Four semifinals Thursday as well. So we'll incorporate that into the Betcast on Thursday night as well, April the 9th. So that's a hell of a hockey day right there. NHL, Frozen Four semis.
Possibly the drunkest college hockey game of all time, with Wisconsin and North Dakota playing in Las Vegas. I can't even imagine what that seems to be like. No, you're going to be there.
Yes, Matt will be
there. I've seen posts that are like, I know Vegas is prepared for anything. It's a party town 365 days a year, but I hope that the T-Mobile Plaza has enough beer prepared, because those two states going at it is going to be chaos.
It makes me think about when Conor McGregor first fought for a title out there and they ran out of Jameson in a weekend. Like it could be something like that, honestly, like with those fan bases. So it should be fun.
Yeah, I hope they extra supply of liquor and alcohol there in the arena for the Wisconsin and North Dakota faithful coming down for the for the Frozen Four on Thursday. So we'll incorporate Frozen Four into our Betcast for sure on Thursday, starting at 6. Note the start time, 6:40 p.m. Eastern time, because the first game is going to be 6:45 p.m. Eastern, which is that Leafs Islanders.
Thanks, Maple Leafs.
I know. Yeah, exactly. And the Peter DeBoer debut, of course, with the New York Islanders as head coach. So, Matty, let's get Matt's thoughts on that, because he hasn't been able to speak about that yet. Your former head coach, Peter DeBoer of your Dallas Stars, taking over as the new head coach of the New York Islanders.
Yeah, I think I mimic Matt Duchesne talked on the Dallas Sports Radio. He's on once a week, and I think I mimic his thoughts. It was, with the carousel, what he's done, to the amount of Western Conference finals he's been in, despite being fired from multiple jobs. He obviously is doing something right to some degree. So it wasn't really, if he'll find a head coaching job, it was when. And as Matt Duchesne said, I'm happy he went to an Eastern Conference team. So the only time that Dallas would have to line up with him would be obviously in a Stanley Cup final. If that ever happens and it goes to Game 7, I probably have to bet against the Dallas Stars. That's for sure.
Well, one thing to note is that he has been to the conference finals 6 of the last 8 years. And we've seen this guy
make a good head coach.
With 3 different teams. So, I mean, if you're gonna pick a guy, because we can always compare this to the Tortorella assignment. It's like Pete DeBoer is kind of the guy that you want in the playoff running. You know what I mean? Where Tortorella is more of a guy where you'd want to kind of change things around. You'd hire him ideally at the beginning of the year. If you're going to have a guy come in with a few games left and try and make a playoff run, Pete DeBoer is probably one of your better options.
Yeah,
Especially with game 7 too. When you think
Yeah,
about it.
I mean, I will say if the Islanders sneak into the playoffs, then they might be a dark horse worth some value, at least to, get to the conference finals or something like that, just given his trend. For a team that probably wouldn't be someone I would take, if they slip into that 8 seed, but new bench boss, you never know.
Yeah, 100%. He's got that 6 of the 8. It's 6 of the last 8. He's been to the conference finals, and remember 2 Stanley Cup final appearances as well. One with New Jersey, very early in his career, his first job in the NHL, and then of course with San Jose when they lost to Pittsburgh that one year in the Stanley Cup final. That was a Peter DeBoer team as well. So I felt I was a little bit harsh with DeBoer years ago when I said he never wins the big one. He's not someone you want in the playoffs. He still has taken teams a long way in the playoffs, conference finals, Stanley Cup final twice. It's just that final, rung of the ladder, if you will. He just hasn't been able to get to that point, the top of the mountain, the summit, if you will. But that's what they're hoping for with the New York Islanders here with Peter DeBoer. Like I said, we're excited that that'll be a big part of the Betcast Thursday when he makes his debut behind the bench for the New York Islanders. So it's Thursday night, 6:40 p.m. Eastern. Very much looking forward to that. Free for all live betcast. All right, let's get into Tuesday's card. Boston, Carolina. We've got Carolina minus 180, home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this one. I think it's a Carolina spot. They're off the loss to Ottawa, a scheduled loss. And I say scheduled loss because it was a freaking brutal spot. You played the Islanders Saturday night, flying from Raleigh to Ottawa. You probably got to Ottawa after midnight Saturday. You had to play 5 o'clock p.m. local time Sunday afternoon. That's less than 24 hours after you played the Islanders down in Raleigh. It was a brutal spot for Carolina. That's why I eventually said, Ian, you got to bet Ottawa. Even though they've been schizophrenic, erratic, inconsistent, up and down, you have to bet Ottawa here. It's just such a strong situational edge for them. And it came through as Ottawa got the job done, beating Carolina on Sunday. So Carolina will be looking to bounce back from that loss to the Ottawa Senators here against Boston. Boston road woes continue. 3 straight road losses. Do you know that the Bruins are now 4-12 in their last 16 road games? And we know their road record for the season is dismal, 15-24. But in particular, 4-12, the Boston Bruins in their last 16 road games. So this is Carolina or pass. Don't love the price. I don't know if I love team total over either because Boston's been trying to play very, very tight here on this road trip that they've been on. The Philly game was low and slow. The Tampa game was low and slow. The Florida game, 2-1, 3-1, 2-1 in these 3 road games on this trip for the Boston Bruins. So, I'm thinking this might be, and Carolina, probably after giving up 6, trying to look at a little more of a defensive nature here tonight after 6 allowed to Ottawa. And I think we're going to see Bussy back in net, I would think, because remember, this is a guy that was in the Bruins organization at one point too. So makes all the sense in the world for Rod Brindamore to give Brandon Bussy the nod here tonight in this matchup against the Bruins. So this is a pass for me pre-game. Anything we do with this game is probably going to be live during the game tonight. I do have some props, though, which I'll mention in a minute. Alex, what do you think here with Bruins Hurricanes?
I took a shot here with this draw. This is a good price. You got plus 335 over at Bet Online. And like I said, it's a Boston team that, just try to hang on for dear life and try and grab points while on the road. Carolina, same thing. Just need a couple more points to try and clinch their division, get things wrapped up. It's not much of an onus for them to go and just beat the shit out of Boston necessarily. So this could be a low and slow kind of a game. Maybe we see a goal or 2 early and try and grab an adjusted under at a 7.5 or 8.5, something of that nature. But pregame, the only thing for me is the draw plus 335.
It's a 6-2 under run, 6-2 under run in the series too between the Bruins and the Hurricanes. I'm not even going to say I even lean under because the moment I do that, it's going to go over. My track record with the games I like under. It goes the other
Right.
way. But as you can clearly tell, I don't love the over in this game at all. Matt, what do you think here? Anything you like? Boston, Carolina?
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat. I like the under here, which means I'm probably just going to pass this game pregame. But I like the angle Alex is looking at. If, the pace is what I think it is, but we get a goal in the first 2 or 3 minutes, then I'm going to jump on a live under in this one when it jumps to 7.5 or something like that. But even at 6.5, I think this is an under game. I think it'll be kind of low and slow. I think the draw is worth a look because I think, Carolina obviously not in the same boat as Boston, but, points are points this time of year. And I don't think anyone's going to try and lose in regulation. So if it's a close game, as we get down the stretch, I think the draw is definitely worth a look.
Prop-wise, I'm going to go with a few here. I'm going to go with Taylor Hall. He was a Bruin for a little bit. Not long, but he was a Bruin for a bit. Former player angle. He scored last game. Taylor Hall, you're getting him in the plus 380, plus 390 range. Logan Stankoven, of course, former Dallas Star. He's been really ripping it up lately for the Hurricanes. He scored in 3 of the last 5 games. For Carolina, you're still getting a good price with him, plus 340. And got to go back to the well with Mr. Zacha. Pavel Zacha has been just, this has been a great month or two for him, for the Boston. But it's at the point where you wonder, what the hell are they going to do without Pavel Zacha right now, Boston, with how well he's played for them. So that's definitely a goal prop that I'm interested in. All right, this is your Nashville-LA game for this Tuesday slate, as far as it's basically a playoff game here on April 7th. Columbus, Detroit. Detroit minus 115, home favorite, 6 the total. I mean, we're not splitting the atom, figuring out that this is a massive 2 points on the board here tonight between these two teams. These two teams that can't get out of their own fucking way right now at this point in time. So here's what I still side with Columbus slightly, but I'm not that excited to bet Columbus either. They keep spitting the bit and finding ways to lose. They had a up 1-0 quick start against Winnipeg. They lose 2-1. They don't score again after that. And another game where they barely cracked 10 shots on goal in that game against the Winnipeg Jets. Now, Rick Bowness is going to the blender tonight, and it's about time because he's got to do something. You haven't generated any offense. You haven't generated any opportunity these last couple games. You've been stuck in your own zone. You haven't generated much as far as shot volume is concerned, as far as offensive zone time is concerned. Got to start, changing these lines up. What that does is it offers up potential value as far as goal props tonight. Cole Sillinger, Adam Fantilli, and Kent Johnson is your new look top line tonight. So he is really shaking things up here, Bones, as far as the line combinations for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's got Kirill Marchenko, Charlie Coyle, and Connor Garland on the second line. Mason Marchment, Boone Jenner, Danton Heinen on the third line. Sean Monahan, fourth line. Ooh, is that a message being sent? Isaac Lundestrom on that fourth line, and Luca Del Bel Belouz, a little Bell Biv DeVoe, as I like to. His name always reminds me of BBD there, but Luca Del Bel Belouz here. Hopefully, his play is not poison to the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight in this game. But what I would say here is, look, I don't mind it. I always I always get on coaches and, criticize at times for shaking them up and putting them in the blender, but they have to do something here significant because this paltry, feeble output offensively for Columbus is unacceptable these last 2 games. You got to do something here to try to spark this offense. And look, Rick Bowness is trying to do that with a slew of line changes. Detroit it's all in between the ears as much as it's physical with Detroit. I mean, the fact that you are down 4-1, you have a catastrophically bad second period, you somehow will yourself back into the game and tie it against Minnesota, only to spit the bit and give up a power play goal late in the last 2 minutes and lose in regulation. And that's what they've done lately. So I don't trust Detroit. Really don't trust Columbus all that much more. I'd lean slightly to the Jackets, but not enough to bet it. So what am I on in this game? You know what? The draw. Got to bet it. It's certainly a situation where I could see both of these teams not being good enough to separate from the other, basically with where their own confidence levels are right now. Both of the last 2 meetings, both earlier this season in November and December, went past regulation between these two teams as well. So give me the draw. Now, we've got a strong over series history here to the tune of 7-0 to the over, 8-1 to the over streaks in the series coming into tonight. I said this with Tampa Buffalo. There was a strong over series history. It pushed at the end of the day. This total is sitting at, it looks like 6 across the board. here in this. There's actually a couple books that have 5.5. So if you find those books that have 5.5, maybe get in on the over. I would only get interested in it at 5.5. If you can find a 5.5, bet it. If you can't, wait till you get maybe 5.5 live during the game tonight. But it is a pretty strong over series history that we have seen with the Blue Jackets and Red Wings. Yet that little voice in my head says we could see a tight checking game with so much at stake. Alex, what do you think here? Columbus, Detroit.
Yeah, pregame, I am on the draw. Plus 340 at Caesars is the best option you can find. But I also took a little piece of Blue Jackets to win in overtime or shootout. Plus 550 available at FanDuel in the game specials section of that book. Like I said, can't trust Detroit right now. Yes, they've been more engaged. OG Swag in the chat mentioned about, Sir Patrick Kane. You've seen him be more engaged, get that game time goal, and then, oops, there he goes and he hits Quinn Hughes, and now it's a 2-minute penalty. This team, like I said, they are the epitome of tripping over their own 2 feet. Because every time Detroit, just in games, every time they do something good, then they do something bad. They score a goal, and they take a dumb penalty. Then they give up a easy goal. It's just been like that for the last kind of week and a half of watching their game. So Columbus to win an overtime or shootout along with the draw pregame. I would wait for that total. I think we might be able to get like a 4.5 in this game. I can see this being.
I got to
really
jump in and say
slow.
one thing about the 2 previous meetings. They both went past regulation and they both went over the total, but they started slow. Both games were 1-0 after the first period.
Yep.
So to your point, maybe waiting could be the best move.
That's going to be my option. I'm going to wait and try and get a lower over, something of a 4.5, or big plus money with a 5.5 nature, because I think this could be a low and slow start and then kind of wake up over time. But I think it goes past 60 for sure. So I am on the draw, and I got CBJ to win it past regulation.
Which is exactly what we saw with Blue Jackets Red Wings in the 2 previous meetings this year, where under in the first period, and then it opened up. Floodgates opened in the second and third period in those 2 games. And Jonathan's got it in the chat right now. 4 straight first period unders with the Jackets and Red Wings, despite the fact that all 4 of those games have gone over for the full game total. So there you go. It's been slow starts, and then the goals start to explode second period and beyond. So will we see that again tonight?
It's like a brisket. Don't take it out too early. Just let it rest and cool, and then you'll get time to eat.
Yes, good analogy there. Maddie, what do you think here? Columbus, Detroit.
Yeah, I go back and forth because I know Columbus is 8-2 to first period overs. Series history, I don't know. I might take a shot on the first period over, and then if it is a slow start, jump on a full game over. Try and kind of win my money back, but on the off chance we do get a first period over. But the bigger play for me here is Columbus. I watched some of that Detroit Minnesota game. It's just one of those things where, Detroit was right there to be a playoff team. They've kind of, had their ups and downs like a lot of teams have in both conferences, as of late during the playoff push. But, how Kane scores and then takes that penalty away from the puck. I mean, they're allergic to winning right now. So I got to take a shot with Columbus.
Yeah, I lean Columbus. I just don't know if I trust them all that much enough to bet them, but I trust them. I do trust them a tinge more than Detroit. I do.
Well, and I do like, the lines in the blender. Some teams it works, some teams it doesn't. But I do know with Rick Bones, I do know that it's typically that first game that you really start to notice it. It's or that you see a change. That first game, I think Columbus will come out and play well. If Columbus wins this game 3-1, does that mean Thursday night they're worth a look automatically? No, maybe not. But I do think, Bones is an experienced guy. I obviously was a big fan of him in Dallas. And I think, guys react to that stuff, especially when it's a full blend. If you sit one of your top guys and push them down on the third line, sometimes that backfires, and then they're poopy pants, and then they don't play well, and it's like a cancer around the room. But when it's a full, blend of things, you got some fresh looks, you need a nice change, you might get some guys with some chemistry. So that's why I lean Columbus tonight.
Something I will add to this game: second period, both teams to score. I'm betting this pregame plus 136 at FanDuel.
There we go. Okay. All right. As far as goal props, Columbus, Detroit, like I said, you can get creative. There's legit value with Cole Sillinger, with Kent Johnson, especially because they look like they're going to be playing with Adam Fantilli tonight. So that's worth a shot. Coyle and Garland, I don't hate on the second line. For Detroit, Emmett Finney with Larkin and Raymond. We've gone to that well before when he's been up there with the captain, Dylan Larkin. So maybe we look in that direction for goal prop tonight. So, like I said, probably looking at a live over, but draw pregame for sure. Definitely. That's my strongest stance on that game. Tampa Bay, Ottawa. We've got Ottawa minus 130, home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. This is obviously a game where we want to wait to see what the goalie situation will be for Tampa Bay, because he has given Vasilevsky a back-to-back start recently, John Cooper. Will he do that again as he still tries to chase down a division title in the Atlantic Division, now tied with Buffalo for first in the Atlantic Division after the Sabres' victory over the Lightning last night. And remember, Montreal's only 2 points behind them. So Montreal is still very much in the mix here. I'm on Ottawa here. I do like Ottawa, minus 130. They haven't traveled since last Wednesday. They've been at home since last Wednesday, the Ottawa Senators. So you factor that into this equation where it's in this condensed schedule where you've got an Ottawa team that played Buffalo Thursday, Minnesota Saturday, Carolina Sunday, all at home. They stay at home here Tuesday. And here's Tampa. They did play a couple home games. They played Boston on Saturday at home, but then they had to go on to Buffalo last night. It's back-to-back on the road here for the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's definitely some situational scheduling advantages here for the Ottawa Senators in this game. And I like the purpose they showed finally against Carolina. Now, Carolina was in a bad spot. There's no denying that. That played a role, but I thought Ottawa still did what they had to do, played with purpose, played with authority, and were able to get the job done. And I'm anticipating at least a chance that Jonas Johansson might get this start. We don't know that yet. We'll have to wait and see until closer to puck drop because the Tampa goalie isn't confirmed yet. It will be Linus Ullmark, no surprise there. Still, it looks like no change on the back end, although they did get Jake Sanderson back against Minnesota, so he's been back for a couple of games now for Ottawa, which is huge when you're already missing Thomas Chabot, Dennis Gilbert, Tyler Klevin, Carter Yakimchuk, and Nick Jensen still out on the blue line here for Ottawa in this game. I'm on Ottawa already, money line. I'm waiting on the goalie. If it's Johansson, I'm tacking on Sen's team total over. I'm tacking on probably over by Fekta in this game. As well, if that's the case. Now, Johansson, the last time I did this with Johansson in net, he got the better of me. I remember it, the Nashville game. It was on a Sunday, and he actually played a pretty good game. But that was the first game after a dismal stretch of terrible performances from Jonas Johansson. So I'm still not fully there with him as far as banking on him to be great here tonight against a highly motivated Ottawa team, if it's him in net. Alex, what do you think here, Tampa Bay, Ottawa?
Yeah, I took a small shot with a draw here in this one just because these are teams that need the points and that can find its way to maybe being a slower game. But other than that, this is one I want to wait for live. Like I said, and definitely want to wait for full confirmation. We know it's Ullmark for Ottawa, and that's been a little bit of a drama spot in itself. But yeah, definitely want to wait and see if it's going to be Vasilevsky or JJ for Lightning before jumping in on anything as far as team totals or overs in that range. So check Patreon for my full card with this one. But one thing I will have will be the draw.
Yeah, Ottawa's a go for me, regardless of who's in net, Vasilevsky and Johansson. But I might add other bets for this game depending on the goalie situation, which again to be determined. Check the Patreon page and the Patreon card later for sure, no doubt. And one other thing I was going to say about this game too is that for I think it was for Tampa Bay. I'm blanking on it now. So we'll throw it to Matt. It'll come back to me. But Matt, what do you think here? Lightning Senators.
I jumped in on an over 6 yesterday, minus 120. I think we see some goals in this game, but sides-wise, I'm back and forth. I think I could see Ottawa winning this game just because I think given the injuries to Tampa, I think they're going to kind of just be playing for the playoffs at this point. So I don't think they have the urgency that they might have, but just over 6 for me.
About rest advantage, there's a nice little rest advantage here for Ottawa for sure that matters at this late stage of the season. That's what I meant. See, I told you I'd remember. Ottawa's won 3 of the last 4 times they've hosted Tampa Bay. So this has actually been Tampa's had a tough time in Ottawa over the years. Ottawa 3-1 against Tampa Bay the last 4 times they've hosted the Lightning. So that's another thing that kind of factored into the decision here for me to back the Sens. As far as props for this one, I mean, you can't go wrong with Kucherov, goal prop. You know, he scored in 3 straight games for the Lightning. Brady Tkachuk had a great game against Carolina. Parlay Pinto, heating up. Dylan Cousins, go back to the well with him. Dylan Cousins, 3 of the last 5 he scored. Jake Gensel has scored for Tampa in 3 of the last 5 as well. That's worth mentioning going into this game. 8-game point streak as well for Jake Gensel for Tampa Bay. So he's certainly been in excellent form. And yeah, Nick Paul. I think this is the night, Nick. Nick Alvento in the chat saying Nick Paul is there with Gensel. I think this is the night. This is the night to say hello to our old friend, Nick Paul, for a goal prop tonight. Facing his old team, the Ottawa Senators in Ottawa. He scored against them before. Just like Ottawa and Toronto are 2 teams that Nick Paul generally scores against and has had success putting the puck in the net against those teams. So, this is the right time here for Nick Paul maybe to strike. And you're getting now plus 500, in that kind of range for Nick Paul. So I think this is the night to maybe jump back into the Nick Paul goal prop bin, if you will. All right, Florida, Montreal. We've got Montreal minus 250, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. You got Montreal. Montreal, I get why the chat now, when it was Sunday's show, I said I can't fade Montreal. And at the time, I'm like, there's a lot of people making a case for New Jersey. But now that I think of it, it made sense. I mean, it was a tricky spot. The long road trip. It was their 6th game in 9 nights as well. And you could tell it just weren't sharp. They weren't bad, Montreal, in that 3-0 loss to New Jersey at home, but they just beat New Jersey in New Jersey. End of a road trip, back home, playing the same team. And look, they just weren't sharp that night. New Jersey played well. I give them credit. But now you have Montreal looking to bounce back, and they know the division is still there for the taking. They're right in it. They're only 2 back of both Tampa and Buffalo for first in the Atlantic Division. Off that shutout loss, they'll certainly be looking to bounce back here in this one. Montreal, we've talked about how Florida, even when Florida's been great the last 3 years, making it to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals, winning 2 of them, Montreal's still dominated even those great Florida teams. Montreal has won 7 in a row head-to-head over the Florida Panthers going into tonight. We've seen this Florida defense crumble. The 2 games back-to-back over the weekend in Pittsburgh against the Penguins, they gave up 14 goals in those 2 games combined. Doesn't matter whether it's Bobrovsky or Tarasov anymore. There's a fucking skeleton defense right now in front of these 2 goaltenders. And it is Tarasov once again. They should just shut Bobrovsky down. I think they might do that because Tarasov's back in net tonight for the Panthers. Jakub Dobeš, who's just been on this incredible streak, is going to be back in net for the Canadians tonight. Remember, it was Fowler that took the loss against New Jersey, even though it really wasn't his fault. He didn't play that bad, but this has been a spectacular run for Dobeš. He's allowed 8 goals in his last 179 shots during this 5-game win streak that he's on. His numbers just get better and better with this great run he's put together. So I'm going to go with a plethora of Montreal here. We're going to put a little Montreal first period puck line in our pocket. We're going to go with a little Montreal. Definitely the team total over for Montreal is what I like the most. That's my favorite look of them all. Montreal team total over 3.5 here. You can get that around. You got to lay a price minus 140, but I like the over 3.5 here with Montreal. Little Canadians first period puck line here as well. But that team total over 3.5. I don't really mind 6.5 either, but my concern is Dobeš has been great. Montreal may need to score at least 5 for that game to go over the total because Dobeš has really done a nice job keeping the other team at bay. So I'm way more bullish on the Montreal team total over 3.5. I'll sprinkle on the 6.5 because these Florida games are starting to fly over because of the defensive issues and the goaltending issues, and just they're so decimated. But I like the Montreal team total over most of all. And now Matthew Tkachuk scratched as well, it looks like, for the Panthers tonight in this game. Yeah, he's out. Reinhart, Lundell, Ekblad, Balinskis, Marchand, Mikkola, Rodriguez. I mean, it's Florida. It's the Florida Checkers. That's what it is right now. It's the Florida Checkers. So Habs team total over 3.5 is my favorite look. Alex, what do you think? Florida, Montreal.
Well, when Dobish does struggle, we tend to see it happen early in contests. So I am on both teams to score in the first period, plus 164. But then I have this circled to where if it's tied or say Florida gets that first goal, I'll be looking to grab Montreal, adjust it in some of those other markets, team total, regulation, things of that nature. So and using that as kind of a play to open things up for a live wagering. But I do like pregame both teams to score in the first period, plus 164 over at FanDuel.
I did grab Florida for a goal in first period against Pittsburgh on Sunday when they got blown out the day before, and they did score. That was they did score in the first period of that game, so maybe they do sneak one in the opening 20 minutes. I don't hate that idea of looking at a first period of both teams to score for this game. And yeah, the Montreal team total, the best. You know what? Pinnacle, believe it or not, saving the day again. You can get minus 128 on that Montreal team total over 3.5 at Pinnacle. So once again, great cheaper price as you often can get at that book. Matt, what do you think here, Florida, Montreal?
Yeah, this is one of the few games on the card that there's a team that's minus 200, minus 250 that I'm on the team total. I love Montreal's team total in this game. I think they come out and want to score a bunch of goals, especially at home, especially after their last game, especially against a depleted Florida team. So list goes on and on. I love that play for sure. And then I'm on the first period over in this one because I think they get at least one goal. But I probably lean that Montreal gets 2 goals, and I think they could give one up. So I think we get 3 total in the first. So I may even ladder 1.5 to 2.5. But Montreal team total is definitely my biggest play in this one.
All right, yeah, I agree. I think that's the strongest play on the board in this game, in my mind. Is that as far as goal props, Florida, Montreal. I would say if you're going to look at anyone with Florida, it's the same 2 I've mentioned for a few games in a row now, and that's AJ Greer and return of the Mackie Samoskevich because he's on the top line with Bennett and Verhaeghe, and he's produced a little bit. For Montreal, Cole Caulfield's always got a chance. He's closing, still waiting for him to get to that 50-goal mark. But Demidov and Kapanen and Newhook on the second line have had some decent chemistry of late. Could look in those. That's the line where the value is to me right now. Is definitely Kapanen, Newhook, and Demidov. They've really had some nice chemistry of late for Montreal. So keep an eye on those players for some goal prop opportunity. All right, Philadelphia, New Jersey. We've got New Jersey minus 120, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this one. I really like what the Flyers of all the teams in the Eastern Conference, the misfits, as I call them, because nobody's stepping up under this pressure and getting the job done, really, except for this Philadelphia team, which has now put a couple of nice wins together back-to-back against the Islanders and the Bruins, and they were 5-2 in their last 7 games. They have actually shown some signs of, hey, we're actually going to show everybody we want to get into the playoffs, and they're playing like it. So give them credit for that. That being said, this is not, and I repeat, this to me is not going to be an easy game for Philadelphia because this Jersey team, man, they're playing feisty down the stretch. They're playing, to win. They're playing competitive hockey. They have had a couple of bad games. Carolina, they lost 5-2. The Ranger game was a bad game. They lost 4-1 in the game where Markstrom and Shesterkin dropped the gloves and went at it. But, they battled Montreal. They beat Washington, beat the hell out of them 7-3, although, that win has taken some shine off it with the Capitals, getting blown out by the Rangers on Sunday as well. But they battled a very good red-hot Montreal team, lost in a shootout 4-3 at home, came back the very next night in Montreal, played them again and shut them out 3-0. It's not going to be an easy game for Philadelphia. Give me the draw here. I think it's going to be a tough game. We saw Tocchet play his hand, play his cards on Sunday, say, if this game's tied late in the third, we're not screwing up and risking the point. We're going to play very, very, we're not going to put the puck in harm's way. We're going to make sure we lock up the point. We get it to overtime. So this is another draw look for me, Flyers and Devils. I lean Flyers, but there's something about this game where I could see this being a battle here for Philadelphia. One thing of note, these teams have only played each other twice this season, both in November. Flyers won both games. Both games went over the total, 6-3 and 5-3. I'm going to dabble in the over here just slightly because we're getting a 5.5, and we saw 2-0 to the over in the previous 2 meetings. Just a small bet. even though it is concerning that I think the Flyers are trying to play a little bit tighter brand of hockey. They've gone under in 2 straight. So it's a small bet on the over, and I'm going to take a piece of the draw. If New Jersey goes up 1 or 2 goals, I'll probably bet Philly live, but it's going to take Philly trailing and get a better price on Philly in-game than taking them now pregame at plus 100. Alex, what do you think here, Flyers, Devils?
Yeah, pregame, I like Philly team total over 3, flat 3 minus $1.02 over at BetMGM. And I did take a little piece of the draw plus 316, but I'm right there with you. If New Jersey can get a lead within this game, we can get better price than just even money or plus 105 with the Flyers. So I will be looking for Flyers live money line to go along with that team total in that draw look.
Yeah, as far I'm going to go to the well with Mr. Martone. Marty is, of course, what they're calling him now in Philadelphia. But yeah, Porter Martone with a goal prop, was worth a shot. I finally jumped off the shots on goal with Porter Martone against Boston, and sure enough, he gets 5 shots on goal in that game. But it still feels like his shots on goal could be still a good way to go about it. I'll throw out a shots on goal prop for you. In fact, 2 of them, because they've both gone over their shot prop in 5 straight. Tyson Forster for Philadelphia. He's been back. He's one of their better offensive players. He's gone over his 1.5 shots on goal in 5 straight, and it's only like minus 125, minus 130 on Forster over 1.5 shots. And Jack Hughes, who's been, you talk about using the Olympics to get you going. He has been just a freight train, Jack Hughes, since the Olympics and scoring that gold medal game-winning goal to beat Canada. He's gone over 3.5 shots on goal in 5 straight games. Jack Hughes. So if you're interested in those shots on goal props, those are a couple to look at. I'm going back to the well with Connor Brown for New Jersey. He's been awesome, red hot, scored against Montreal into the empty net. 3 of the last 5 he's scored. Christian Dvorak looks like he might be starting to heat up for Philly. There could be one to look at as well. Forster, Martone, those are the goal props for me on the Flyers side. Matty, Rob, what do you think here? Flyers, Devils.
Yeah, I want to take the Flyers here, but I do agree with you. I think New Jersey is a tough out, even though, they are where they are in the standings. So I am going to take a small shot on the Flyers here, not a big bet. And then I am going to jump on the over because I think, I could see the Flyers winning this game like, 2-1. I could see if New Jersey wins this game, I could see it being 5-3, 5-4. So I think there will be goals in this game.
All right. Like I said, at 5.5, I'm in. And that's the crux of why I'm on the over here, because of the series history, and it's 5.5, not higher. All right, Seattle, Minnesota. We've got Minnesota minus 250, home favorite, 6 the total in this game. There's not a chance in hell I'm taking Seattle, so by default, it's Minnesota or not. They're done. We saw it last night. That was pretty listless. Once you're seeing let go of the rope from Seattle. When that game started to slip away against Winnipeg, there was no pushback. And that's a sign of a team that's mentally deflated, mentally spent, knowing they're going to miss the playoffs and fall short. Once that game got away from Winnipeg, there was no fight back from the Seattle Kraken last night. Now they're on a back-to-back, 6-2. That was the playoff dream crusher if it wasn't already over, losing to Winnipeg last night. You got Minnesota rested, as AM says in the chat. You can only look at Minnesota here. But the problem is it's minus 250, so you got to get creative. You got to go reg. You've got to go puck line, team total over. And sometimes with Minnesota, they're content to win 2-1, 3-1. They should get to 4 though tonight. So I'm going to take a chance they can, because Seattle is just. You talk about letting go of the rope. Defensively, they've let go of the rope. This is stuff that under Lane Lambert, if they're on their game, this isn't happening. But they are not playing with that tight structure defensively, Seattle. They've given up 6, 4, and 6 in their last 3 games. Utah put 6 on the board. Chicago put 4 on the board. Winnipeg puts another 6 on the board. I'm going to have some level of faith Minnesota can get me 4 here. So the 3.5 at around minus 130 with the wild team total I like. But my favorite bet in this game, we're just going to ride these first period overs with Seattle. They've been really, really strong. We saw another first period over last night out of the Kraken. I think it's something like 13-2 for the first period over for Seattle. It's been really good. I like that most of all. We'll put a little Minnesota team total over in pocket. I think any team that's got a pulse right now might get 4 on Seattle. If they're going to bring the defensive effort they did last night against Winnipeg, shame on Minnesota if they don't get 4 goals tonight against this Seattle team. 15-2, says Jonathan, for the first period over streak for Seattle. So that's the bet I like most in this game, first period over. Alex, Seattle, Minnesota.
Yeah, this is going to be a pass for me, but now with, like I said, that track record, I'll wait in game and try and get plus money with that first period over. But I don't trust Minnesota with a full 60-minute effort now that they've gotten everything pretty much all set. They're ready for, game one, round one of the playoffs. Seattle's ready for Cancun or wherever they're going to be traveling. So just hoping to get a little bit of time to get a better price adjusted on that first period over. That's the only thing for me.
Great point by AM. Great point. This is very important. That's why I am. That's exactly another reason why I'm a little leery of Minnesota in this spot. Off the road, back home, and you got Dallas, which could decide home ice in that first round series in second place in the Central Division. They played Dallas right after this huge matchup. They're only 2 points behind Dallas now for second in the Central, making Matty Rob sweat a little bit for that. No, he's not making Matty Rob sweat. Matty doesn't give two shits if they're second or third. He's just bring the playoffs on. We'll play anywhere. We'll play anyone. That's been Matt's mindset with the Stars. But, Matt, what do you think here, Seattle, Minnesota?
Yeah, this is another one similar to Montreal. I do like Minnesota team total here. I can make a case for both sides, but I think – both Dallas and Minnesota know that game's on Thursday and want to have a nice, not dominating in the sense that their, effort is playoff atmosphere, but neither team wants their games tonight to go to overtime. Both teams want to just kind of roll over these opponents that are out of the playoffs. And to your point, if you can't get 4 against a Seattle team that's kind of given up, then, I don't know what to tell you, but I do like the first period over here. That's the bigger play. Seattle's been hot for me lately. It was one of my free picks I threw out on my Beyond the Lines episode tonight for tonight's card. So that one's been circled. I just think, maybe Minnesota does look ahead a bit. They do have the firepower to score on the power play. They've got some skilled guys. Kaprizov's hot right now. But do they maybe give one up early to Seattle and then kind of have to battle back to make it 1-1 in the first? Not sure, but I like the first period over here. And, when you're a team like Seattle that is looking ahead to Cancun, the effort might not be there of a team entering the playoffs, but you do have kind of that low pressure, Sunday skate mentality. And sometimes, honestly, that does create goals. It does, you're probably not playing as tight defensively. You're probably not back checking as hard. But when you're not gripping your stick very hard, these guys are pro athletes, and they, they're able to pull some cool shit off. So I think we see 2 goals in the first in this one, and I think Minnesota should get to 4 goals as well.
By the way, people, I think it's pretty clear when I do the finger point when someone's talking, means I'm agreeing with what they're saying 100%. But yeah, just want to make sure people are aware of that when I always do that. Yeah, it means I totally agree with that. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, exactly what he said. You don't back check as hard when you realize, hey, playoff hopes are shot now. And we saw that. Once that got away from Winnipeg, the defense just fell apart in the third period. It got worse for Seattle. Just ridiculous mistakes. I feel bad for Joey Decord. He was hung out to dry late in that third period after replacing Grubauer, who got injured last night in that game. And because Grubauer got injured, you got to expect that Joey Decord's going to start for Seattle tonight, even though it hasn't been confirmed. It will be Jesper Wallstedt here for Minnesota. 2 props. McMahon for Seattle. No. And for Minnesota, Ryan Hartman. We got to keep betting him. He's a 6-game point streak for him right now for the Wild. He didn't score in the last game, but the point prop is still only -120, very cheap. And I'm going to go back to the well with the goal prop here, still in that, not quite bargained in now, +280, it looks like. Yeah.
I was going to say, this might be the point where you want to, maybe have a cut line, though. If he doesn't do anything tonight, then you probably stay away from him. Yeah,
you got it. Because then it's the slump streak's over, and then we go back to him maybe not doing something.
And then he may not score again until October.
So. Exactly. And here's Terry Edelman in our group chat saying he looks like a number 1 center to me. Calm the fuck down. That's what he said. It's like, oh my God. How many times
the one that you couldn't get at the deadline, but now he's a number 1 center. And we've seen him do dick all for about 2.5 seasons, especially when it mattered the most. The best of Ryan Hartman was a long time ago. So that's hilarious.
You say your prayer, the Hulk Hogan. You say your prayers. You take your vitamins. You hope Ryan Hartman produces as a top line center if he's there in the playoffs. But you don't say that right now he's a top line center. Come on,
And then what's you going to do when Dallas runs wild in the first round?
Yeah, that's not right. I mean, that's just you hope and pray he produces for you, but you never in a million years say he looks like a legit top line center to me. That's a bunch of nonsense. But that's okay. Terry loves his team. And I respect that. He'll say some crazy shit sometimes with the Wild, but he loves his team. It's all out of love.
Of course.
Calgary and Dallas next up. Dallas minus 240, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. I mean, Dallas now, Minnesota. The thing with Minnesota is they've got to leapfrog Dallas to get second because Dallas has the tiebreaker with the regulation wins. Tiebreaker is going to go to Dallas. So if Minnesota is going to get home ice, they got to finish with more points than Dallas. But now Dallas coming off a shutout loss against Colorado on Saturday afternoon. Obviously, it didn't sit well. We'll see if they bounce back. Dallas is one of those teams. You just got to have that Dr. Fraser Crane mentality. Go into it as a psychiatrist as much as a handicapper and say, is Dallas going to be revved up for this game? Is Dallas bringing it? Against a lowly team like the Calgary Flames here in this game? That's the question you have to ask yourself. But with Minnesota putting a little pressure on them, you could say, yeah, this could be a spot to step up. But you also could look at it and say, well, you play Minnesota on Thursday night. And if you win that game, regardless of what happens here, you pretty much put the distance between you and Minnesota, and you're probably going to win or get second in the Central and home ice. So I'm on the fence with how to treat Dallas here. Do they show up? Are they going to be, bring their A game or not in this spot? But off a shutout loss against Colorado, I kind of think you'll see something from them, hopefully offensively. And Calgary is still a mess defensively, especially on the road. So, I think Dallas scores goals. I think Calgary might, though. Yeah, I really do, because Calgary here on this road trip, their defense has been kind of a problem. Because you look at what they've given up, 3 to Anaheim, albeit they won, but 6 to Vegas, 9 to Colorado, 4 straight overs. But they can score goals still. They scored 5 against Anaheim in the win, 3 against Vegas, 7 against Vancouver. But, they can still chip in. And if they get 2 or 3 goals, I think it's fair to assume we could get 3, 4, 5 out of Dallas, coming off a shutout loss. I think they could chip in. So at 5.5, I could only look at this over. With Calgary and Dallas, this over at 5.5. In fact, I'm probably going to move on it. I don't know about the team totals here, but I mean, both teams could go over their team total tonight in this game. Dallas might over 3.5 coming off the shutout loss. Like I said, the Flames D has been a little bit of an issue on the road. Jake Ottinger's confirmed in net for Dallas. Dustin Wolf projected, but not yet confirmed for Calgary. And by the way, we have seen over streak in this series, 8-2 to the over in the last 10 meetings between these two teams. So a 5.5, count me in for the over here. Alex, what do you think here? Calgary, Dallas.
Yeah, take a small piece of the over now at minus 130 and try and grab a little bit more a few minutes into the contest, closer to plus money. But I do like this over 5.5. And like I said, it predicated more on Dallas, I think, because coming off of that shutout loss against Colorado, and then having the Wild next game, where that could be a game where, those two teams aren't showing much of their hand, knowing they're going to be facing each other in just a week or so. So that could be kind of a low and slow game. This may be the game for Dallas to kind of get themselves up. Hey, let's make amends for how bad we played the last game. Turn it up against a bad team like Calgary. So 5.5 for me. That's the way I play it. But small play pregame and look to add a little bit more on in game.
Yeah, and I'm probably just going to go with full game over. I feel better about the Dallas team total than the Calgary team total over, but I could see a bunch of possibilities that go over 5.5. I could see 4-2 Dallas. I could see 4-3 Dallas. I could see even 5-2 Dallas. Maybe there's even an upset here. Calgary wins 4-3, where Calgary goes over and Dallas doesn't, their team total. So, but there's a bunch of possibilities I could see for over 5.5 that I don't want to pinpoint a team total here in this game. Matt, what do you think? Calgary, Dallas.
Just given the game they played previously to Colorado, I think Dallas team total is live in this one. I think there's the look ahead angle. There's they're missing 6 forwards angle. I just think, I agree with Alex. I do think Thursday's game is not going to be an over game for me. Even if I have the utmost confidence entering that game that Dallas wins, which I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying come Thursday, it's not an over game for me. I think, even on the power plays, both teams are going to try and keep, things close to their heart. They might change the lines a little bit. I think if Dallas were to win tonight and somehow Minnesota would drop the look ahead to Seattle, I think it's even more so. I think you see a whole jumbled lines. These teams don't want to, give up what they've got. So, but yeah, I think, I don't know, just given Calgary, I think this is a game Dallas kind of, again, it's not going to be that they physically dominate. It's not going to be that they have 60 shots on goal or anything like that. That's not what I mean. I just think it's a get right spot for them. Calgary's defense has not been great. I think, if let's say they get 3 or 4 power plays, I think they pop a couple on the power play. It's just a good game for them to kind of get ready for Thursday. It is the NHL, and those are typically spots that the other team kind of jumps on you early. So I think the total is definitely worth a look in this game. I don't think, I think Jake has shown signs of a couple games that he's played pretty well. He did have that shutout last week that was kind of more what you'd hope out of Ottinger, getting ready for the playoffs. I know between the Olympics and now he's had some stretches of not so great play. Still got a lot of wins in that 17-game point streak, but there were nights that it wasn't Ottinger stealing a game. But that shutout he had last week was one of those games where he looked back, to playoff form. So that's the worrisome to the over 5.5. If this is 3-0 after the first, I think it maybe stays under. I think you get like a 4-0 game if Ottinger's really on his game. But I think given the implications of Thursday's game, I could see Calgary popping one early, Dallas kind of waking up, rolling over in the long run and getting this done. So, yeah, I think Dallas team total is my favorite look in this game.
All right, Dallas team total over. Yeah, I get Grant. Grant likes the under. I get the reasoning. Yeah, the 7D for Dallas, that's what they're deploying tonight. That could keep things. That's an indication. Maybe they're looking to keep things a little bit tighter here tonight. But I just thought at 5.5 these Calgary road games, they've been pretty strong overs here on the road here, Calgary on this trip. And to be able to only get a 5.5 here, like I said, is I think an over bet worth making. As far as props go, Morgan Frost, back-to-back games with a goal for Calgary. Going to go to the well with him. Ryan Strome, I mentioned him against his old team, Anaheim, that he would score for Calgary. He did. He's actually scored in 3 of the last 5 games for the Flames. He's probably worth a look again as far as finding the back of the net. On the Dallas side, I'm seeing, a lot of injuries. Maddie mentioned it. Sam Steele, Michael Bunting, Rope Hintz, Nate Bastian, of course, Fox Seguin. But it looks like Colin Blackwell might be with Ben and Duchesne on the second line tonight. So a little value there on Mr. Blackwell for Dallas tonight. And I'll throw one out there because I've noticed him, 2 goals in the last 4 games, 3 points in the last 4 games. The Finnish player, Arttu Huru here, the 25-year-old. I think if you really want to go down the board for a goal prop with a little value, Arttu Huru here for this Dallas Stars team. I think he might be worth a shot as well. Colorado, St. Louis rematch. These teams played in Denver on Sunday. Now back at it here in St. Louis. Colorado minus 150, road favorites, 6 the total. Now, Sunday, that was like a road map to success and profit, that game. I knew exactly where I wanted to go. St. Louis early. St. Louis, live to win the game, team total, the first period goal. I really liked the pathway to profit in that game. This one's a little trickier because you've got Colorado, and we've talked about how they've been 1 up, 1 down lately. They have the bad game, then they have a good game where they're focused and they're dialed in. Then they win, and then they're slough it off again. They're kind of lackadaisical, and they lose the next game. And then Jared Bednar cracks the whip, and then they're up again, and they play well. Well, now we've got them off a loss, so you would think they're going to be focused here tonight, and they can still finally take care of the Central Division with a win here tonight against St. Louis. But I think St. Louis, look, their season's on the line. They still have no room for error, no margin for error. They have to win. St. Louis tonight to keep their playoff hopes alive. I got 2 bets here. I think the value is too good to pass up on St. Louis again here, even though it's Colorado off a loss at plus 130. And keep in mind, the Blues have played Colorado well in this building. They've won 2 straight at home against the Colorado Avalanche. So I like St. Louis here taking a shot at plus 130, but I also like Colorado first goal, first period in this game. I like that. I think Colorado will be focused ready early, get on the board first in that opening period, and then I think as the game goes on, but St. Louis is going to dig in. They're not going to go away quietly. They know their season's on the line tonight, and I could see them catching Colorado later in the game and maybe overtaking them for the victory. So that's my approach here with Colorado first goal, first period, as well as St. Louis full game money line here in this one. Goaltending for this game, Scott Wedgwood, Joel Hofer confirmed in net for their respective teams. And Wedgwood clearly has to be the guy in game 1 for Colorado, in my opinion. Alex, what do you think here? Avs, Blues, the rematch.
Yeah, with the Blues coming back home off of a, like I said, good win against this Colorado team. I'm right there with you on Avs. First goal, first period. Grabbed that plus 115 earlier. It's still available at FanDuel. But I like both teams to score in the first period and the first period over. And this one, well, like I said, I think it's predicated on Avalanche throw that first punch, but St. Louis will certainly be able to counter back. And I think they do that early within the first 20 minutes. I'm just sticking with first period looks here. I'm not on Blues full game money line. I don't have the full game over or anything here. Everything else I'll add will be live, but I do like first period over, first period both teams to score, and Avs to get that first goal in that first period.
On the chat, wanting me to sing it here. Holloway, yes, Dylan Holloway. Obviously goal prop. I'm always interested, but I want to throw out something about his shots on goal prop. He has gone over 2.5 shots on goal in 7 straight games for the St. Louis Blues, and it's only over 2.5 minus 120 with his shots on goal for tonight. He's gone over that in 7 straight games. So, I think it's worth a look. If you bet shots on goal props, I think over 2.5 shots for Dylan Holloway is worth a look. His goal prop's worth a look, but I'm also going to come back to the well with who. Robert Thomas, he scored in 3 straight games for the Blues, and we have to keep betting fucking, who? Parker Kelly for Colorado. The guy that had, 25 goals in 5 seasons combined, and he's got 20 already this season alone for Colorado. He has scored in 4 of the last 5 games. You're still getting a great price, north of plus 500 for Parker Kelly to score tonight. So, Parker Kelly one more time with Colorado to find the back of the net here. Matt, what do you think, Colorado, St. Louis?
Yeah, this is actually a pass game for me outside of I do want to watch some of this game and maybe jump on a live over if we get a few minutes of slow play. So it is marked on my card, but pregame I've got nothing on it. I just feel, and it showed, with these teams playing their previous game against each other, with Makar out, obviously Colorado and Dallas was going to be sort of a playoff type game. I thought despite the result as a Stars fan, I thought it was a great hockey game. One of those rare games that's 0-0 for such a long time. And you're like, this is still awesome to watch. It really had playoff feel. And I know Makar was out for that game, but I feel like now that Dallas is kind of in the rear view, now that Makar, is still resting, I wouldn't be shocked if St. Louis won this game. I still think minus Makar, Colorado is a much better team, but I just, they basically have the President's Trophy locked up. So, maybe they coast into an overtime and St. Louis wins. I don't know. I just kind of go back and forth. I just don't think they don't really have a lot of urgency anymore. Dallas is not going to catch them. They're going to win the West. They're going to have home ice through the at least the Western Conference Finals. So it just, to me, when you're in that position, the urgency or desperation is just not there. So I could see this being much more of a Sunday skate.
All right, good stuff. On we go to Edmonton and Utah. We've got Utah minus 130, home favorite, 6.5 the total. This game, of course, at Delta Center in Salt Lake. Utah back home after a 3-game road trip, a perfect 3-0 road trip with wins against LA, Seattle, and Vancouver. Well, and how about the scoring all of a sudden? 3 straight games with 6+ goals. Now, Two of them were Seattle, Vancouver. We can't go too crazy about that. But nevertheless, I mean, the Utah offense is humming right now. 6 straight Utah games have gone over, and they are on an 8-2 over streak, Utah, in their last 10 games coming into this one. You got Edmonton off that 5-1 loss that snapped a 5-game win streak. They lost 5-1 to Vegas at home on Saturday. We'll see if they bounce back from that. This is a tough side. I mean, Utah is playing well, but they're off a road trip. Edmonton off a loss. I don't feel like betting against them. I don't. And didn't they win in Utah the last time they were here as well? I'm pretty sure they did. So I think I'd lean Oilers a little bit, but I'm not going to bet that. I'm going to look at probably the full game over, small pregame, add to it if it falls to 6 or 5.5. But what I really like in this game, maybe the draw too, but what I really like in this game is the first period over. We got to ride it with this Utah team. This Utah team is 11 straight first period overs. It's something like that. If you look at the great Chris Otto's chart, as far as this first period over streak, it's just the gift that's been keeping on giving lately as far as first period overs involving the Utah Mammoth. So it's been quite the run of first period overs for this team. I'm looking at it's actually 10 straight. It's 12-2 and 10 straight first period overs here for the Utah Mammoth. 10 straight because the Utah Vancouver game on Saturday, their last game, went over in the first period as well. So it's 10-0 run for first period overs for Utah. So that's the bet I like the most here in this game. Alex, what do you think? Edmonton, Utah.
I've got to quote one of my favorite movies, My Cousin Vinny here. What is a Ute? Because this is the Utah Mammoth going up against the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, my gosh. Brain fart, man. Told you I'm in my 40s now. The mind starts to crumble a little bit. There we go. Utah
There
Mammoth.
we go. There we
not
go.
The Utah Utes. Not football or basketball, goddammit.
I had to drop that line for sure.
Go.
But this could be a first round playoff preview potentially. Depending on how things shake up with the everything's going up and down in this Pacific Division. And I do think we see the first period over here. Minus 136 is a little bit steep, so I might try and wait a couple minutes to get a better price. But what I do like here is the draw, plus 330. Both these teams needing points. This is a game where if it's 8-9 minutes tied into the third, I don't think we're going to see much of anything. So we'll be on the draw, but I will grab a little bit of that first period over live as well.
Good stuff indeed. There we go. Mammoth, Utah Mammoth. There we go. Just make sure we reinforce that to everybody that I know what the hell I'm talking about. But there we go. First period over. What the hell is a Ute? 10 straight first period overs. Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's not going to go on forever, the streak. If you want to make a case for the first period under here, I get there's reasons for it. But like I said, I'm a streak bettor, and we ride the streak. And that's what we're doing here. 10 straight first period overs for Utah. Matt, what do you think here, Edmonton, Utah?
First one of the day, but this is gonna be a same game parlay play for me. First period over, full game over 5.5. Get a right around even money. I think I think both these teams are capable of scoring in the first. I think we can easily get to 6 with these teams. Especially Edmonton, obviously can score goals. They obviously have their defensive struggles at times as well. So. They have looked a little bit better as of late in that regard. It's not quite as bad as those couple games where they were giving up 6, 7, 8 goals. But I could make a case for either team. I think, Utah's playing good hockey. I think the issue is that, Utah is as locked into that top wildcard spot as they can be. And then, Edmonton is currently sitting at the top of the Pacific. It looks like they'll likely end up there just given how, the other teams in the Pacific are playing. I think this game could go to overtime. I think it'll be similar to the game last night with LA and Nashville. If this game's tied in the third, both teams look at each other and say, hey, we're cool just giving each other a point.
Yep.
And then we'll see who wins 3-on-3 or potentially in a breakaway competition. But I think the draw is definitely worth a look in this one. But first period over, full game over is going to be my go-tos.
Because remember, every point matters for Edmonton in this battle with Anaheim for first place in the Pacific Division. Not to mention for Utah, too, because Utah's inching closer to clinching a playoff spot. They're going to, in my opinion, they're going to get in. It's a question of when, not if, but they inch closer to clinching that spot here, even with just 1 point in this game against the Edmonton Oilers. As far as props, there are a couple. Lawson Krause for Utah, still on the top line. Dylan Guenther has scored in back-to-back games for Utah. But the one I like the most from a value standpoint, Kyler Yamamoto for Utah. He's on the second line. He's a former Oiler, plus 500. Sign me up with Kyler Yamamoto. He scored last game, too, for the Utah Mammoths. So that's a good one in my mind as well. Savoy, Podkolzin, Roslovic. I always go back to those three if I'm looking at goal props for Edmonton, especially Savoy. He has played very well of late. All right, Vegas, Vancouver. John Tortorella goes back to Vancouver. Remember, he was Canucks head coach for a little bit as well. So he gets to see one of his old teams again, because this was actually the team he played in his Golden Knights debut in Vegas last week. Now he plays them again in Vancouver. Vegas minus 240, road favorites, 6.5 the total. The Vancouver Canucks, guys, they've scored a goal in the first period in 5 straight games, 6 of the last 7. Give me that Vancouver goal in the first period again. I mean, I've just kept taking this and betting it now. A couple games in a row. We took it again versus Utah. Vegas probably wins this game, but we're getting some good, good effort, good energy out of the gate from Vancouver in these games. 5 straight, they've scored a goal in the first period. 6 of the last 7, Vancouver has scored a goal in the first period as well. So I'm back on that for sure. A goal in the first period, Vancouver Canucks. I'm probably going to do over by, because look, one thing I've heard John Tortorella say several times since he's taken over, I want us playing fast. Fast has been a buzzword of John Tortorella, and normally he doesn't always want his teams playing that way. Sometimes he wants low and slow instead, but right now he wants them playing more north-south, because when he took over from Bruce, he apparently witnessed a flaw, and the flaw was they were playing too side to side, too sideways. If anyone's listened to John Tortorella speak the last week, he's talking about we got to play a more up and down the ice, north-south kind of game. So that indicates more of an up and down and more over style of hockey. And we know Vancouver's an over machine right now because they can still score some goals, but they are a mess defensively. And regardless of Lankinen or Topo Chico, Tolopilo in net, they give up goals, Vancouver. So I think this is over by fecta. This could be both teams to score first period, turn it into a trifecta. Vancouver goal in the first period, which is at FanDuel. Let me just check. Should be a good price, certainly a good enough price to take it pregame with that Vancouver goal in the first period tonight. I'm seeing it right now at FanDuel at, there we go, minus 122, just kind of what I expected. With Vancouver goal in the first period. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do here. Vancouver goal in the first, over trifecta. I think Vegas full game team total over is probably a good look as well because Vancouver's given up 4+ in a lot of these games. So I think if you like goals, this is your game. Carter Hart in net. Now, he was very good against Vegas. He's expected in net, against Edmonton on Saturday. We'll see if he's good once again tonight versus Vancouver, but he was very good against Edmonton. Tolopilo is confirmed for the Canucks. I still think we see goals. 4 from Vancouver at least, 4 from Vegas. 4 from Vegas at least, and a first period goal from Vancouver as well. Alex, what do you think here, Vegas, Vancouver?
Yeah, I'm on those first period looks with Vancouver, so that's first period goal in the first period, like the minus 122, but I'm taking a little shot further, grab that plus 180 for first goal, first period, and then I will be on both teams to score in the first period, plus 168. Which kind of opens the door for me to look for anything Vegas adjusted live if we get Vancouver to score that first goal. So definitely liking the goals. Goal looks early, not on the full game, not on that first period overlaying. We're seeing them, minus 140. So if I were to look at that, that would be something I would grab live as well.
Yeah, you could always wait for the 1.5 first period over to drop a bit. Same with the full game. One thing I'm going to do is I've bet over 6.5 pregame, but smaller so that I can add. If it falls to 5.5 at any point, we'll add to it in game. What do you think here, Matt? Golden Knights, Canucks.
Yeah, back-to-back same game parlays. I like goals early in this one. Don't really love 6.5. I don't think it's a terrible look. I think you just need a couple goals out of Vancouver and it gets there. But I'll just jump on first period, full game, 5.5, and that'll be my play for this one. No value, obviously, on the Knights, although I think they win. And I saw it mentioned in the chat, but this is another one of those games you could look at Knights team total over. I think there's 4 teams. You've got Vegas, Dallas, Minnesota, Montreal, that if you wanted to throw a money line parlay, it's a big plus price. And those are 4 teams that I think do get the job done in these games. So that's worth a look as well.
I was just going to say this might be Vancouver's final home game of the season, actually, which would make that first period goal look even stronger. But no, they do have one more home game after this. And look who it is. It's Los Angeles next Tuesday at home. And you know that game is going to be stressful for LA. You know that is not going to be an easy game for them. You just know it. And Vancouver will be pumped up for that game, too. It's their final home game of the season next week against the Kings. So, like I said, look out, LA. That is not going to be an easy trip for you to Vancouver against the Canucks next Tuesday, with maybe your season on the line, possibly in that game next Tuesday. So they do have one more home game after this. Prop wise, Brett Howden. That's the one that stands out. Brett Howden here for Vegas. He is on the top line with Eichel and Dorofeyev still. Scored in 2 straight games for the Golden Knights. You're getting a great price, plus 380 for him to find the back of the net. I would look in that direction. Anderson scored last game, and Rasmus Anderson, part of John Tortorella's mantra to play more north-south, has been Anderson getting involved in the rush more from the blue line for Vegas. So his goal prop worth a look. I would throw Linus Karlsson, Rossi on the Vancouver side. They've been noticeable lately, generating chances. So those are some of the goal props for me in that one. And our last game for this Tuesday card, Nashville, Anaheim. Anaheim minus 140, home favorite, 6.5, the total. I don't know who said it in the chat, but I noticed it earlier in the comments. No way Anaheim is going to lose this game and lose another game tonight. I've said that for 2-3 games now, and at some point, I'm not a minus 140. I can't right now. Anaheim's got issues. Defensively, they've fallen apart on us, really. Coach Q's been there, done that. He certainly has it in him, and this team's got it in them to get the train back on the tracks defensively. But this has been brutal during this 5-game losing streak. They've given up at least 4 goals in 5 straight games during this losing skid. I mean, they got to tighten things up right now. The Anaheim Ducks, simple as that. I can't lay minus 140 with a defense like this right now. And Dostal's part of the issue. He's got to play better too. I think a lot of it's been the play in front of him, but he's got another level he could get to, and he can be better. He'll be in net tonight for the Ducks here in this game. It should be Justus Onanen on the back-to-back here for Nashville after UC Saros got the start last night against LA. He's been a little bit better lately, our guy Justus Onanen. Not as useless as he once was based on his recent play. He did give up 3 goals, though, in each of his last 2 starts. Tampa, New Jersey, and he did lose both of those games. So a little bit of a decline after really being strong. Before that, we've given up 1 goal. If you buy into situationals, though, as AM says, Ducks resting at home, back-to-back, intense game, massive, implications against LA coming in. It feels like a great Anaheim situational spot. I just don't love the price, minus 140 pre. I'll certainly bet them live. My hope is Nashville scores early. Adrenaline from last night. Usually teams on the back-to-back have their legs and greater energy early in the game. So my hope is Nashville gets on the board and I'll live bet Anaheim, if they're trailing, and get a better price on them, get a plus price at that point. That's what I'm going to aim to do. I will look at an over by Fecta, though, pregame. I got to see improvement defensively from Anaheim. Until then, it's over by Fecta or pass for me in Anaheim games. So give me that over by Fecta here with Nashville and Anaheim. Maybe a sprinkle on the draw, too, and I will bet Anaheim live at plus money if they're trailing during this game. Alex, what do you think, Nashville, Anaheim?
Yeah, this is a draw for me, plus 330. I took Anaheim plus 600 to win in overtime or a shootout. And like I said, if Nashville can get on the board early, I'll grab Anaheim regular money line live as well. This feels like it could be one of those back and forth games, both teams needing the points. But like I said, Anaheim's got to shore up things defensively before you get into the playoffs. This is a bad time to have kind of a little bit of a downturn as far as from the blue line and the goaltending goes. But this is a good game. Coming up against the Nashville team, once again, another long game against LA going into a shootout. So maybe Anaheim can get the best of them early. It's definitely one you want to watch in the late night hour, but I think it goes past 60, and I think Anaheim gets the win past 60.
6-1, by the way, for Anaheim in the last 7 meetings. So they have played Nashville very well, and they played very well against Nashville. We'll see if that continues to. It's definitely a situational advantage, Anaheim. It's just a question of with their defensive woes right now. Do you want to lay minus 140? I don't. I'm going to take my chances that Nashville gets on the board, gets a lead, gets on the board first, gets a lead, and we can get Anaheim at plus money in game. Matt, what do you think here? Final game, Nashville, Anaheim.
This might be a live look game for me late in the night. So, I do go back and forth. I think the Ducks should win this game. I do think Nashville maybe starts well, given the back-to-back angle. Would I be shocked if Nashville wins this game? Not at all. But I just don't really have a good feel. So it'll be a live look game. Maybe you get Nashville on the board early and then you take Anaheim. Same thing with overs. We get 5-6 minutes of pace, but no goals. And maybe I jump on a 5.5 here. But I just don't think there's anything pre-game that I'm going to jump on this one.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Nothing wrong with that. That is for sure, as far as that's concerned. As far as goal props here for this game, when you look at it, we've talked about Zach LaRue for Nashville. Up on the top line. I still think he didn't score last night, but still think there's value there as far as him finding the back of the net. Stamkos has scored in 3 straight games for Nashville. But one thing I have noticed about the Anaheim Ducks against Nashville is he scored against them previously when they've played the Nashville Predators. And he did, I believe, score in their last game as well. I think this could be the right time to get back to a goal prop with our guy, Beckett Seneca. I think it's time tonight to look in that direction once again for the Anaheim Ducks. I timed that perfectly. There you go. But yeah, Beckett Seneca. Listen, it's better to listen to that beautiful female voice sing it than my stupid voice. So there you go. That's better. But yeah, Beckett Seneca here tonight for the Anaheim Ducks. I think scored in the last game. I've got him at 100%. Head-to-head track record scoring against Nashville. So it is time for it's just once. Okay, so 100%. That's why it's 100%, because it's only the one time, and he did score against them. So Beckett Seneca there for the Anaheim Ducks. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And like I said, massive Tuesday card. We look forward to it. Lots on the line once again. Make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. Daily premium picks, long-term subscriptions available. Yes, college basketball's over, where I completed a #1 ranked season at Wizard Sports Picks in college basketball. It was a great season of profits there. Also #1 currently in NHL. There's still NBA going on, MLB now underway, and I'm going to start promoting it already. CFL's coming in 2 months. So that's coming up in June. Looking forward to that. So check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. Check out the Beyond the Lines videos on the YouTube channel. Matt did it today, and he does it every Tuesday. And I'm on there doing the videos Fridays and Sundays. So check it out at wizardsportspicks.com and the YouTube channel. And check out patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And we have a Patreon exclusive live betcast next week during the final week of the regular season, a date to be determined. So stay tuned for that. And we've got 2 during the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Betcast that will be Patreon exclusive as well. And all of that is in addition to the free for all betcast that we have this Thursday, of course. So make sure you get on board, just $10 per month. Oh, and early this morning, we recorded, finally, the interview with Jason Seed, Players Suite, the Olympian representing Italy at the Winter Olympics hockey tournament. It was great to hear about his experiences and just being part of that. During that interview. So we'll get that posted later this week on the Patreon page as well. So make sure you get on board. Again, your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got 1 whole week starting today. 15% off all items in the store. So it's a great time to get some gear for the playoffs, get some gear just for the summertime with the nice weather on the way. And you can get, 15% off in the next 6 days. Hit the redeem button at the home page, add your items to your cart, and 15% will be taken off at checkout. It's for the next 7 days over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Good stuff. Take advantage of that at the Ice Guys store. Bargain bin special of the night. Best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night. And yes, thanks to Donato's Pizza, Ryan Donato, no longer elephant hands when a night like that takes place when he scores. Ryan Donato, Chicago, Bargain Bin Special for Alex on Monday. We'll see how we can add to it for this big Tuesday card. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain Bin Special of the night.
Yeah, I got a pair of them. First, we will start with that big game at Columbus and Detroit. And like you talked about, the line blenders out for the Blue Jackets. I'm going with Kent Johnson. Anytime goal, you can get plus 350 with him on that top line. That's a great value play. So that'll be my first bargain bin special. Kent Johnson, anytime goal for the Columbus Blue Jackets. My second one, we go to that late game, Nashville and Anaheim. Once again, another guy making a change, going to be on that second line for the Ducks, Ryan Poehling. Anytime goal, you can get him plus 390 over at FanDuel. That'll be my second bargain special for this Tuesday night.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. That's a good goal prop, too. That Ryan Poehling is worth a look, too, for Anaheim. I agree with the bump in the lineup. So there you go. A couple of bargain bins. Kent Johnson, alias the stoner dude of the Blue Jackets team, if you listen to his interviews. Kent Johnson for Columbus. And, of course, Ryan Poehling for Anaheim for Alex with bargain bin specials of the night. Matty Rob, what do you got for us? Bargain bin special.
I've got two bargain bins from the same game. We're going to go to that Calgary-Dallas game. First off, for Calgary, we've got Blake Coleman playing on the first line, first power play, 19 goals this season, Plano, Texas native. You can get him plus 310 at FanDuel, so that seems like a no-brainer for me, given all those factors that I just mentioned. Yep. So I will be on Blake Coleman, anytime goal, plus 310. That'll be bargain bin 1 from that game. And then for Dallas, you mentioned the forwards missing. You mentioned that they may be 11 forwards tonight. This is not a guy that I see getting a ton of added ice time, just given his age. But, 48 points in 48 games versus Calgary, 12 in his last 10. And earlier last month, he had a goal and an assist against the Calgary Flames. Give me the captain, Jamie Benn, plus 300. I think, we talked about, is this a look-ahead spot? They kind of control their own destiny as opposed to Minnesota. Minnesota has really got to kind of gain on Dallas. I know it's just 2 points, but you look for a guy like Jamie Benn to say, hey, we've kind of fucked around a little bit. We had a nice win against Winnipeg. The Colorado game was a good game, but we just need to roll this team tonight. Don't leave anything for chance. We don't need overtime or drama. Just roll through this game. And in those games, he tends to play well, especially early on. So I may sprinkle Ben in the first goal of the game, but for bargain bin purposes, I've got Blake Coleman plus 310 anytime goal and Jamie Benn plus 300 anytime goal.
All right, good stuff. I like it. But Blake Coleman's a really good. Makes sense. Top line, Plano, Texas, playing in his home state. And of course, top line getting the opportunity.
And needing 20 goals too.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's probably got a contract bump in that as well. So
yeah, milestone. Yeah, that'll be a bet for me for sure. I'll put that on the goal prop card without a doubt. As far as my two bargain bin specials for tonight, I almost went with Parker Kelly. I am going to bet Parker Kelly, but didn't use him as one of my two, even though he's up there. Taylor Hall, Carolina tonight, plus 400. I like it. He's actually done a lot of his damage at home. Former Bruin, scored in the last game. Taylor Hall for Carolina, plus 400 for my first bargain bin special. On my second one, I'm going to go to Kyler Yamamoto for Utah. I really like it. He's a former Oiler, second line, getting more minutes. Scored in the last game for Utah, plus 500 at BetMGM for Kyler Yamamoto. So there you go. Taylor Hall, Carolina, plus 400. Kyler Yamamoto, Utah, plus 500 for my 2 bargain bin specials for this Tuesday night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Let's head down to the Gateway City. You got St. Louis taking on, not Columbus, Colorado, and this is an Avalanche team that bounces back pretty well off of a loss. I don't expect them to hang around maybe the whole game, but first goal, first period, I think that's a great look at plus 115. You can get that at FanDuel. Give me Colorado to score the first goal of the game within the first 20 minutes. That's my best bet for tonight.
All right, Colorado, first goal, first period for Alex with his best bet. Matt, not only a best bet, but if you got a Frozen 4 winner, lean or pick, throw that out there as well, since you'll be there.
Yeah, I kind of forgot to look into that, but as a fan, I'm going to be cheering for Michigan. My good buddy's little brother, Kason Muskett's playing for Michigan. As far as a bet, I think I'd go with the dark horse. I'd go with Wisconsin. I think we talked about it pre-show, but when you've got the Frozen 4, Michigan Denver is going to be an elite game. Both teams are really going to be a tough out for the other team in that game. And then the obvious on paper is Nodak is going to win easy against Wisconsin. But the reality is in the Frozen 4, that doesn't mean shit. And Wisconsin's going to be ready to go for that game. So I would say my fan vote is Michigan for my buddy Brownie's little brother, and then as a value better, the dark horse would be Wisconsin, and I will 100% be on the over in the North Dakota Wisconsin game, whatever it is. I think that'll be a little bit more back and forth, and if North Dakota does run away with it, I think we get over the total. So that'll be my Frozen 4 bet of the tournament, will be that over in the North Dakota Wisconsin game. As far as best bets for tonight, I will be heading out to Alex's current hometown. Obviously he would never claim anything but Chicago as his actual hometown, but for all intents and purposes of where he currently lives, we'll go out to that Seattle Minnesota game. We mentioned it. I think could it be a look ahead spot? Maybe, but I think Minnesota knows they need every single point. They'll be ready to play in that game. And Seattle, playing for exercise, trying to get their body looking right for Cancun. What does that mean? I think first period over. I think, Seattle might chip one in, but play a little lax defensively. Minnesota would love to have 2 goals in the first. So it doesn't matter how we get there. Seattle, Minnesota, first period over 1.5. That'll be my best bet for tonight.
All right, there we go. Good stuff. My best bet, bleu, blanc, rouge, le Canadien. Montreal team total over 3.5 against the Florida Panthers off a shutout loss to New Jersey. I think they have a big-time bounce back, especially offensively. This is a Florida team, hemorrhaging chances, hemorrhaging goals against. And at minus 130, the best price out there at Pinnacle. Very, very good price. Montreal Canadiens team total over 3.5, minus 130 against the Florida Panthers. For my best bet here for this Tuesday NHL slate. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. My dark horse, and we'll talk a little Frozen 4 during the betcast, is Denver with a good coach in David Carl.
Yeah.
I think they're live at the price that they're getting. They're always, and he's a great coach, not good, great. So I think they've got a legit shot at the price they're getting. But Matt, enjoy being down in Las Vegas there for the Frozen 4. Throw a few pints back. Watch the North Dakota and Wisconsin fans get blackout drunk all around you there at T-Mobile Arena, and just have a good time down there at the Frozen 4.
Yeah, I'll be sure to not try and go beer for beer with the 6'5", 300-pound guy that's rocking a Sioux jersey that would just put me into my misery. So
good idea.
We'll try and pace. I was talking to Ian a little bit on the front end. I went to the 2011 one back when it was XL Energy Center there in Minnesota. It was one of the first times my dad bought me a few beers. I had just turned 18. So this one will be a little more fun being an adult, but at the same time, you rarely go to 2 hockey games back to back. So you got to pace yourself. If you're crushing too many beers right before that first game, come third period of Michigan Denver, you're going to be wishing you slowed down a bit. So no, all in all, should be fun. Weather looks good. Probably get into some shenanigans, watch the Masters at the pool or something on Friday. And so yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully some great hockey ahead.
Good stuff. Enjoy your time in Las Vegas. Good stuff. And like I said, it should be a good tournament. Hit the like button, everyone watching on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll see you tomorrow on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.